Why is it that when we get into recovery, we stop smoking crack, we stop drinking, we stop doing all those drugs, we gain so much weight? And it's not that we're doing anything wrong or we're being lazy. It's just part of the recovery process for most of us. I know for myself, I gained so much weight when I first came into the rooms, when I came into intake, into treatment. I was 170 pounds and I'm 6'2". And over like a year span, I was up to 245. That's crazy, right? It is not because I was doing anything wrong. I was just eating, right? And most of us, we deal with that problem, but it's not talked about a whole lot. So in this video, we're gonna talk about the problem, why it happened, and also we're gonna come to a solution on how we can fix it. So make sure you guys subscribe and like, and also watch the video to the end. When I first came into recovery, I remember when I was in treatment, you know how they take you downstairs to eat your breakfast, lunch, and your dinner and stuff like that, right? I was always going to people and asking them, some of the other residents, that are you going to eat that, right? Let me get that bread. Let me get, you want that taco? Let me get that taco, right? It all started off in treatment where I was trying to gain weight because I looked at myself in the mirror and I didn't like what I seen, right? So that started the process. So I started eating a whole lot, right? So I could start looking better in the mirror, right? Because I didn't like what I seen, right? So moving forward, I still had those same habits. And it's just part of like taking away something from our diet, right? Taking stuff out of our system, right? Taking out all that alcohol, taking out all those drugs. So now I started craving sweets, right? I started craving starches, and I was replacing food with boredom. A lot of those things happened in early in my recovery, and I gained so much weight. Like I said before, went from 170 pounds to 245 pounds. It was crazy. And I knew I had to do something about it because my feet started hurting, my ankles started hurting, my back started hurting. I felt like I was healthy, but when I went to the doctor, they told me my BMI was like up through the roof. I was like so many pounds overweight, right? And I felt offended because I liked what I seen in the mirror because I didn't look like a skeleton, right? My face was all full and everything like that. I looked healthy, right? My skin had cleared up. So I thought it was cool. But for my health, I had to stop. So we're gonna talk about some solutions about how I fixed my weight problem. But before we get into that, I'm gonna talk about more about how I gained the weight. And you may feel the same way. So put in the comments if you did the same thing. I had a job for 2 years where all I did was sit on my butt. You know what I mean? And it's almost like a security type of job, but I was in harm reduction and I was working overnight. So most of the residents was upstairs sleeping. So all I did was like watch TV, order fast food, and I ate all night. And I ate donuts, cookies, and soda and all that type of stuff. So I didn't have the opportunity to actually change my diet at that time because I didn't know no better, right? It was part of my habit from when I came out of treatment. I just was eating and I looked good, so I thought it wasn't a problem. But now I know that, I have to focus on my eating habits as well, because recovery is just not, recovery from drugs and alcohol is about regaining health, right? Becoming the best person that we possibly can be. And these are some of the things that I did to get me to where I'm at today. I lost a lot of weight. I went from 245 down to 220, which it wasn't that hard. But what I did was I did walks in the morning. I started off with like 30-minute walks. I walk up my apartment, and there's a park down from my house, my apartment, and I went and just walked around the track a couple of times, listened to some motivational music, and I just kept walking until I went around like 2 or 3 times, right? And then at first I got tired, right? And I felt that I was out of breath. I was out of conditioning. My cardiovascular was like really messed up. And that was mainly because I used to sit down all the time. But now I go out, I ain't gonna say I do it every day because I don't. Sometimes I don't, right? But at least 2 or 3 times out the week, I just get out, put a hoodie on, put my joggers on, and I walk down the street, right? And I just take a walk for like 30, 45 minutes, and that helps with my energy too as well. Along with that, I changed my diet, right? I used to eat a lot of fast food. And if you think about it, I was spending at least $30 to $40 a day just on fast food, fried chickens, gyros, right? You know what I mean? Those Italian beefs I love so much. I love Popeyes. I went to Popeyes 2 or 3 times a week. And I love just eating that chicken. That's so good. It's something about that Popeye's chicken, that skin off them chicken breasts. I was so fat back. I used to order chicken. I really don't like chicken breasts because they're kind of dry. But I used to order them and just peel off the skin off of it, put it inside of a biscuit and throw some honey on it and just eat that. Fat back activities for real, right? But I had to change my diet. And also I went to the doctor and for the first time and I got a checkup, and I suggest anybody to go get a checkup, get a primary care physician and let them do blood work and things like that to see if there's anything going on. For me, I had high cholesterol because early in recovery, I was eating so much fast food. And she told me my cholesterol was high. So she put me on this medication and she told me to change my diet. So what I started to do, I started to cook at home. She told me to stay away from red meats, right? Steaks, sausages, bacon, and all that type of stuff like that. She told me to stay away from it because it's saturated fats. I think that's what she said. But it's like, told me an analogy of how water, right, and oil and water don't mix. So if you have a bowl or a jar with water in it and you pour oil on it, the oil will float to the top. She said that's how it was with my blood. I had oil on top of my blood, and it was clogging up my arteries and stuff like that, and also my blood vessel, and how the blood goes to my brain and also my heart. She broke it down. She made me real scared. So what I did change my diet. So what I started doing, I started cooking more at home, right? More healthier meals. I was eating a square meal. I was taking my lunch. I was cooking like pork loins, pork chops and stuff like that. That's what she told me to do. She told me to start eating more pork because it has less saturated fat. It was kind of crazy because I thought pork would be a bad thing, but she said pork, chicken, fish, that's it, right? Those are the type of meats I can eat. And she said I could eat probably a hamburger or something once a month. So I started doing that. I started cooking starches, right? A small amount of starches, like 4 ounces, rice, 4 ounces, vegetables, 6 ounces of vegetables, green vegetables, and eating more fruits. And I noticed within like a couple of months, my weight went down. And I also was having a bowel movement every day, right? When I was eating bad, I wasn't having a bowel movement every day. Everything was clogged up. When I was eating a lot of breads, a lot of starches, I wouldn't use the restroom for like at least like 2 or 3 days. And that's not bad because I'm eating every day, so I should have a bowel movement every day. But once I started doing that with the green vegetables and those things like that, stuff flowed through my body and I got rid of all those toxic things, right? And also not eating fatty foods, I was able to lose weight, which is a big win for me. Now I'm down to 220 and I feel more healthier. My feet don't hurt. My ankles don't hurt. My back don't hurt as much, right? Because I'm still old. I'm 51 years old, so I may wake up and just walk to the restroom and I twist something and oh shit, my shit hurt, right? You know what I mean? It just happens when you get old, but I feel much better. My skin is more clearer. I don't have as much acne, you know what I mean? And I noticed that I'm using the restroom every day, which is a great thing. Also, along with like vitamin supplements, vitamin C, vitamin D, B12, all those type of things I do today. Along with the exercise, and for you, it don't have to be that you have to walk for 30 minutes or do strenuous workouts, right? You can start off with like 15 minutes a day, right? And then your body will tell you to go more, right? It's something about us recovering alcoholics and addicts. We have this thing where we get addicted to things, right? So when you start feeling better, right? You start walking, then you just switch into another gear and you see evidence that it's working, you start walking longer. That's what happened to me. I started walking longer, right? And then I threw in there doing push-ups, right? Doing push-ups and sit-ups. I do push-ups like 3 times a week, and I just downloaded an app, and it's a push-up app, and it gives me like a coaching regimen, how many push-ups I can do. Like it got like mediocre, like regular, and also master or whatever they call it, right? You got 3 different levels, right? But you get to choose which one, and it gives me a reminder. 10:30 every morning, it says bling. I get a notification on my phone, and it says time to work out, time to do push-ups. So I just do push-ups, right? So that helps me with my muscles because I'm using it. And as you know, if you don't use it, you'll lose it, right? And when we're in recovery, we have to learn that we have to keep ourselves fit, right? As much as possible. We may not live to be 150 years old, but the rest of our lives, we want to have a good life and be able to move around and have some type of opportunity to be successful in everything that we do, just not in our recovery, but in our life too as well, because we want to be there for our family, right? So instead of, I got a challenge for you guys. Instead of just like change your diet, all of it automatically like I did, or just, right at the point and going cold turkey from all the good foods that we eat, try just taking away soda. I ain't drank a soda. Well, I'll be real. I drink a soda maybe once a month, and it tastes so good, right? So I switched my habit from drinking like soda to water. Some people say they drink sparkling water. I really don't like sparkling water, the flavored water type stuff. So I just went to drinking straight water. And what this does is help cleanse your body out too as well from all the toxins, right? Because most of our body is consisted of water anyway, right? And water is a great way to like flush your system out and become more healthier and make everything flow through your body like you're supposed to, right? I'm gonna keep it real. When I come home at night, I get home about 11 o'clock because I work second shift, and I have like cookies or donuts that's on my kitchen counter, and I always grab one, right? And I get a glass of water, and I take my medication, my cholesterol medication, and also my other medication that my doctor gave me before I go to sleep, which is not a good thing. I'm not all the way there, but it's progress rather than perfection. We got to start somewhere, right? I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm a guru of fitness, anything like that. I'm growing just like you guys. I'm just letting you guys know what I've done, and maybe you can apply it to your lives, right? Because we have to start from somewhere. And once again, I just want to let you guys know that I do understand that it's a struggle with our weight gain, right? But we have to live a great life. We have to live a long life, a prosperous life, and also be there for our family members, which expect us to be around for a long time, right? We don't know how long we're going to live, but we want to live, a good life, right? So health and fitness go along with our recovery. Recovery from drugs and alcohol is only the beginning of our life, right? We have to recover our relationships. We have to recover, how we feel about, certain situations. We have to have emotional sobriety. We have to recover money that we lost. We can't get it back, but we can learn how to save, right? We can learn how to get a second job or create additional income, right? If we want to become rich and wealthy, we have to do certain things. Right? In my next videos, I'm gonna show you guys some of the things that I'm doing or how I'm saving money, right? I'm gonna show you guys, how I am creating additional income for myself, and I'm gonna show you guys more about how I talk to my family on a day-to-day basis, right? Getting those relationship connections back. God given the opportunity to live a different life, right? Live a better life. And it's just not all about us. Our family needs us to be there, right? Our friends love for us to be there, right? We have to be the best employee that we possibly can in our job. So we don't do the half-measure things. Anytime we go to work, we go hard. We give 110% because that's just what we do. We are superheroes, right? We are recovering alcoholics and addicts, right? And we're some of the best workers out there. I do believe that. Every person I've seen that recover from drugs and alcohol and they get into a job force or to have some type of career, they're always being at the top tier of their work environment, always, because we have this switch, right? We just switch one addictive personality to another, right? That's another thing we gotta look out for too as well, because early on in recovery, I got into the shopping addiction. I think within the first few months of my recovery, I bought 30 pair of Puma gym shoes. I'm gonna give you a quick story, right? But I had to put myself on some type of timeout per se, that I cannot buy shoes unless I actually need them, right? I still got some of the shoes. I had to get some of them away. But I remember when I was homeless, and I still vividly remember I was laying down in the grass, right? I was in the park, I was homeless, laying down, whatever, on the ground. And I seen this guy walk past on this trail, and he had some nice Puma gym shoes on. And I'm like, those are fresh. And in my mind, I'm like, man, I want to buy me some of those one day, right? It's just like one of those thoughts, right? So when I got into recovery, I bought one pair of shoes. Because I remember seeing those shoes, I'm like, Puma coming back, right? And I bought me a pair of shoes, and I liked them because they got that memory foam inside of them, and it was very comfortable, so I bought another one. Then I bought another pair. At one time, I think I bought like 5 pair of shoes, Puma gym shoes, within 1 month. This is not like, promo for Pumas, but Pumas is a great shoe, but I seen that my addictive personality went into the shopping. And it happens for a lot of people. Sometimes it's sex, sometimes it's gambling, into the shopping, it goes into different areas. So we got to look out for that too as well. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, you like, you comment, how much weight that you gained while you was in recovery. And make sure you hit that notification button too as well, so you won't miss my up and coming videos. I'm going to create a video at least once a week. I'm working to get to 2, but because of life, life shows up and job and stuff like that, at this point I can do 1. But I'm going to give you at least 1 video a week. As you guys go out through your day, remember to have a great day on purpose, and remember, relapse is not a fucking option.